Okay. People will know that the Autism Strategy has been an ongoing theme for this committee, and it's a real pleasure to have Jay back, accompanied by Gwen. We're sorry that Peter can't make it because she's not very well, so send her our regards. I think that we're all feeling, you've all read the strategy, haven't you? I'm sure you can recognise some recommendations in there. And it was very pleasing reading, and I have to say well done, thank you very much for that. And obviously well done to Kath, you know, who really stuck with it, and I hope that this committee, through Kath's amazing contribution, added some value in that. We certainly felt that it did. Yeah. Okay, so Kath, did you want to?
I just want to say it reads very well. I like very much the aspirations at the beginning of each section. I think that really adds to it, gives us a goal to aim for. There are one or two bits I will quibble with, but I won't bring those up now. But on the whole, it reads very well, and we've got the short-term and the long-term aims, and really what we want to know as a scrutiny subcommittee, hopefully, is what is short-term, what is long-term, you know, what are the aim, you know, the target times for those things to be completed. Who is going to monitor this? I know there's talk of a project board and an autism multidisciplinary team. It's been mentioned in the strategy as well. Who's going to formulate all that? Who's going to be on that board? You know, those are the sort of things that we need to know going forward now.
I'll do it. Thank you very much for the for the comments, and I will pass this on to Peter when she comes back, because obviously she's the person who's done most of the work. I want to stress that. In terms of our way forward, we've already had a meeting with the CCG, and we've agreed internally that a combination of adult social care, children's social care, education and health are going to form a steering group, which is, we've got all parties together there, and we will look at the implementation. Now what we're currently doing, and I have to say, you know, to be honest, Peter, that was her next job to do, was going to get a document out to providers in terms of people like NDTI, which is the National Team for Inclusion. I think I got that right. I always get that initials wrong. But other organisations like that to come and actually project manage that for us. So we ensured exactly what you said, that we had good and robust project management, and we set all our timescales out. But also we'd scope it out between each other, because each one of these have quite major implications about who we include and how much inclusion is given that. But I think we were very clear at the start of it, we wanted all parties around the table, and we felt that covered a lot of the questions that you were asking within the specific questions, that we said actually all of us are going to sit down together. The government has laid out a plan about the 0 to 25 pathway, and that's how we're going to frame it. And they also set down, you can tell it was done in an Olympic year, because they set down a gold standard, silver standard, and gold standard. I think everything was when it came out in that year. But we will look at what ones we want to actually sort of go for and how we will go for that. I think I have to be absolutely truthful with you and say some bits about how realistic that is. You know, how much can we afford to do? What you know, our aspiration might be gold, but our reality might be silver. You know, so we're going to have to be very. But that's what we will take that through, and we'll work on that.
And the other thing I wondered was about the good practice in other places. How much have you seen of that? Is anybody going to follow up on that and cherry pick good bits of that?
Shall I make a comment on that? I think you're absolutely right. There are some really good pilots that are happening at the moment. We've got some pilots around primary care and the access for people with autism and ADHD in primary care in Kent and in Lambeth. And we need to learn from those pilots and actually look at whether or not we can implement some of those models locally to improve access. We also want to look more broadly. I mean, that this is an autism strategy, and it's really important that there are learnings around the autism strategy, around how we manage LD, learning disabilities more generally. And we need to extend the learning from this strategy across all of learning disabilities. The CCG have adopted the strategy in principle in the CCG, and we're undertaking a piece of work at the moment looking at areas of joint commissioning where we need to enhance our commitment and really understanding what outcomes we're getting from what we're commissioning now, and looking at what we need to be commissioning differently as we move forward, working to that 0 to 25 pathway. And within that, looking at what training is needed for our primary care workforce and for the workforce in general, to ensure that we're addressing the individual needs of people with on the autistic spectrum. So very important strategy to help us build our commissioning intentions around that. So I think it's really exciting that we've got an all-age strategy, that it can feed into a number of pathways across adults and children services, and that there is now quite a lot of momentum behind it, but would say that we want to look at learning disabilities more generally as part of that work. So,
Any questions? Well, what an excellent piece of work, but the key will be in the implementation now. And obviously anything that we can do to add value to that and to keep the momentum and in the forefront of staff's minds and partners, obviously, then we'd be happy to do that. But thank you so much. Send our best to Peter. Excellent strategy. We got there in the end, and thank you.